Hi, my name is Leka Devatha, and you are listening to the Passive Investor Show.
The views and opinions provided on this show are for informational purposes only and should not be misinterpreted as an offer to buy or sell any securities or to make or consider any investment or course of action. For more information, please go to passiveinvestorshow.com. Hey PI listeners, this is John Fortes. I'm making it a point to speak to as many investors as possible. My goal is to position myself to be a blessing to my network through conversation. How could one be a blessing through conversation? The easy answer is by listening. A simple conversation can open many opportunities and doors. I always ask myself this: what do I have to lose by having one more conversation? Going back to high school, I've connected friends and family in my network to one another, even if it didn't benefit me. And I continue those same principles and practices. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. If I can't help you, I probably know someone or something that can probably solve your problem. I'd love for you to become a part of that network. Go to www.johnfortes.com, create your investor profile, and schedule a call. How can I best serve you through conversation? In the words of Clarence the Angel from It's a Wonderful Life, no man is a failure who has friends.
And now, the Passive Investor Show. Here's your host, John Fortes.
Welcome, PI listeners, to the Passive Investor Show. I'm the Passive Investor Consultant, John Fortes, your host of the only ranked podcast for passive investors in multifamily syndications and real estate funds. Our goal and purpose of this show is to be a resource to investors and help them master their passive investments by beating inflation 1% at a time. Welcome, PI listeners, to the Passive Investor Show. I'm the Passive Investor Consultant, John Fortes. My guest today is Leka Devatha. Leka moved to the U.S. from India 13 years ago. She quit her corporate job at Nordstrom's in 2014 and started Rehabit Homes Incorporated, a company focused on residential redevelopment. After a string of successful flips, she obtained her broker's license in 2017 and became one of the top producing agents in her office. She has now flipped over 40 homes and has expanded her focus to include land development, additions, acquiring long-term rentals, both in-state and out-of-state. Her strength is finding creative exit strategies on every deal. She also serves as an advisor on the board of Certain Lending, a fintech company based in San Fran. She enjoys inspiring and motivating other entrepreneurs to build successful businesses, and for this reason hosts a monthly meetup, Real Estate at Work, to bring new and seasoned investors together. Welcome to the show, Leka.
Thank you for having me, John.
No, it's a pleasure to have you. I'm grateful to have you here today. Can you tell us more about your background and how you left corporate to real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up in India, I was always an entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was only 18 years old, and then, carved out a pretty awesome career in fashion merchandising, both in India and also here at Nordstrom. And to leave all that and dive into something I didn't know anything about. I had no construction background, but financial freedom was important to me. And soon I realized that not being in STEM in a city like Seattle was a huge handicap for me. And that made me, want to just go out and find other career paths. And real estate just happened to fall in my lap. And I started, my company, like you said, 6 years ago. And since then, it's been quite an amazing journey. I've done some pretty awesome stuff. I've pushed myself way out of my comfort zone. And I've met some pretty cool people that I'm really fortunate to have known. So yeah, I would not change a thing about it. And leaving corporate was, it was super, super intimidating. Corporate gives you a sense of security, right? There's a path and you just follow that path. And as long as you're hardworking, have the right skill set, then you are going to succeed. But to give it up and to kind of create that where there is no path, and just motivate yourself every single day, whether you're going to fail or succeed or have like massive, mountains to move. It's all up to you. And I think, that's the most intimidating part, is like going from like your security blanket, like your safety net, to out in the world where nobody knows you. You don't know a thing about, what you're about to do. But it's also really fun to kind of go out and see what you can do. Like, what are you capable of? That's kind of what I did.
I love that you shared that in it. You mentioned something earlier where you said you obviously made the leap, you made the jump, and you trusted in your abilities. I can only imagine you were scared, but you had to do it, right?
Right.
Can you walk us through that decision-making process of leaving corporate and just going full-time into a business that you almost had no business doing, right?
No business doing, no business. So to be completely honest, I started researching real estate investing a few months before I left my corporate job. So yeah, I started like studying about it. I joined a program, Fortune Builders, and I started watching videos. I started listening to podcasts. So that's all I did, was like on my way to work, on my way back from work, after I got home from work. Like, I don't remember watching a lick of TV for a few months. So all I did was like just passionately read about real estate investing. But then every meeting that I tried to set up was, had to be during work hours. And so I was like, I can't leave my corporate job to go, across the city to go meet someone. And so I said, okay, I'm either going to do investing full time and I'm going to suck at it and I'm going to come back to corporate, right? Like, what's the big deal? Or I'm just going to be stuck at my corporate job forever, regretting that I didn't take that step. And so that's kind of what led me to it. I started my company before I left my corporate job. And then one day I just like walked into my boss's office and I said, hey, I'm giving you like a month notice. So you still have me for a month. But at the end of that, I'm going to have to go out and I'm going to have to do this. So, and it was super well received. Everybody was cheering for me, So I knew I was leaving in good terms, that if I ever needed to come back, I had that path, So that made it easy.
That's pretty cool. Leaving on good terms, taking that leap of faith. Obviously, you can't go to meetings during work hours, and I'm pretty sure you exhausted a good amount of vacation time trying to do that in the beginning, right?
Right. Exactly right.
But who wants to use their vacation time in that manner? You know what I mean? So
right.
I completely get it. Talk to us about how you started to understand and learn the construction side of it, because we all know that we go through, those that are active, we go through the trials and errors of finding a reliable contractor. How did that work out for you? What did you do?
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you that I learned about construction by trial and error. So I paid a pretty price to learn, but I wouldn't have it any other way, because it was hands-on experience and nothing can beat that. My first flip that I ever did, the company that I bought the flip from said that I could use their contractor. Once I closed on it, that contractor got busy. And so I was left with a project and no contractor. And so I went out and I spread the word, and I literally called 100 people and interviewed 15 contractors, that every one of those contractors walked through my project. And just going through that process taught me so much about hiring and retaining a contractor. And then, it gave me so much insight into how a scope of work was written, or, how different contractors had different ideas for the fix up, or different budgeting, right? So like, you just learn so much from that one deal. And then as I started to do more deals, then all the pieces started to come together. And I was like, okay, so this happens first. Like, I did not know what drywall was. I didn't know, whether insulation came before plumbing and electrical, or whether it came after plumbing and like, I had no idea, right? That's the honest truth. But then I feel like if you take the interest to learn, if you go to your job site every day or every other day and are in good terms with your contractor, then they want to see you succeed. So then they get to do more projects with you. And that's kind of like what I did. When you talk about active investing, this was as active as it gets. I was literally there on my properties, like every day, learning everything that I could. And that just helped me, help set me up for success going into my future projects.
You had that that willingness to just figure it out, that willingness to learn, that eagerness in that to take on a project like this. I wanted to go back and ask you, how did you figure out flipping an asset was the right way to go about it for you in real estate?
In all honesty, like I wanted to do new construction. I wanted to, be in real estate, but I didn't know anything about fix and flip. I never heard of the term. I didn't, the concept was brand new to me. So when I was researching new construction, I found that it could take like anywhere from, I don't know, 24 months to 36 months to build a house, to like prep the land, get permits, do your construction. And that was just a long time to go without a paycheck. And at that point, I was just not ready to do that. And so while I was researching new construction, I heard about fix and flip. And I just thought it was like a much faster, easier way to learn construction, to learn the investing game. And so that's kind of how I got started. It was like totally not something that I was going into real estate knowing that I was going to do, but that just kind of became what I ended up doing. And then even through the course of doing my flips, I think my whole the way I do things has morphed. Before I would take on cosmetic rehabs, now I do full gut renovations. I do additions. I do more large scale, more complicated projects. And there's very few of us in my city that can do that. And that just means like higher profit margins, better deals. So, and less risky deals, especially in an ever-changing market. So I think if you're willing to like pivot and learn and keep moving forward, full steam ahead, then you can take on these different opportunities thrown at you.
Definitely. I love the way you kind of got there because you wanted the bigger picture and started working smaller. What are some of the challenges of being a real estate investor on the active side?
Oh my God, Sam. Every day is a new challenge. Everything from finding deals, finding capital, finding the right builder contractor, you need to be able to just, keep moving ahead, moving full steam ahead, because the landscape, as you know, is ever changing. You need to adapt, grow, and like I said, like just pivot when necessary, aka COVID. Like I can give you an example of a deal that I'm doing right now. So I bought this house in 2018. It was a 3-month fix and flip project, but we ended up doing a full gut remodel. So that took a year instead. And after I did the remodel, I found that the highest and best use of this property was really to add on another addition on the property. And then, so that process started, and then the city took 8 months to give us our permits, but I stuck with it. And then we started construction, and then COVID hit. So we stopped construction for 3 months. Then we finished construction. I'm about to get my building permits. And then I find that the sewer capacity is not large enough to take on the addition. So then I had to go in and add a new sewer line, which meant new asphalting, new everything. But I finally, I'm at the point where I am now this week going to get my building permit. And that's huge because now what this property is going to do for me is give me 4K of positive cash flow a month. But not just that. Seattle real estate has been incredible, and just holding this property for 2 years and adding on the addition and increasing square footage means that the value of this property has gone up by 400K since what it was valued at in 2018. And so, just sitting on this, like, is it worth it in the end? Like, obviously, but as long as you're willing to put the work in, because this was not an easy project. And I never intended to be this massive.
Not only the work, but the capital up front to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so it's really good to have a great lending partner, right? That's where I'm on the board of like you mentioned, a fintech company called Certain Lending. And Certain Lending has been funding all of my deals for 3 years now. And what that has enabled me to do is really scale, because my projects are not cheap. They're $1 million for acquisition and rehab. And you throw on something like an addition, it's just, that keeps going, the budget keeps going up. So having a good lending partner, people that trust you and people that you trust to close and, give you good terms, that's super important.
Now, how did you cultivate that relationship with that lending partner?
Great question. So the founders of Certain Lending were introduced to me by a mutual friend in 2017, and they wanted to start a company to enable investors to easily borrow money. When I say easily, I mean like they were building a software. They were building tech to enable investors to be able to set up this process. Because like, as you know, John, like you raise money, you've done a number of deals, and that whole financing piece is complicated. Same for fix and flip, and same for long-term rentals and BRRRRs. So when they came to me with this idea, I said, look, I'm going to do everything I can to help you guys succeed. And so I introduced them to my network in the Seattle market. I had them, come out to Seattle, start a whole like branch up here. And so it was just like a win-win for the both of us. And then they added me on as an advisor on their board. And so that just was huge. That meant, we were hand in hand, like going from there. And now we're like 15 employees strong. We're a huge company. We fund millions of dollars of loans. And just to see this product and the company grow so much has just been an exciting thing for me.
I like to tell investors that our lending partners are our biggest partner outside of the investors, because we nail down the lending, right, and then we go and find investors in our deal or start to line up the investors. So once the funding is there, it's already been vetted by the lender properly. If a deal you're about to invest in doesn't have a lending partner yet, I would definitely take a closer look.
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
Right. So thank you for sharing that, because you built a relationship with the current lender, had them even go out and open a branch. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty awesome. You literally just help them with their business, probably scale without even knowing it. That's pretty awesome.
Turn, they help me scale.
Hey, one hand washes
right.
the other, right? Thank you for sharing that. Now, this is a passive investor show, and we're talking to you about your active investing side. And what should a passive investor know before they decide to invest on the active side if they choose to one day?
Okay, so passive investors often need to be patient, right? For example, you can give your money to a syndicator and just wait for 5 years and just watch your money grow, watch your asset grow. That's the opposite of investing actively. You need to be as impatient as you possibly can, because time is money. You need to be results oriented. You need to find a way past every obstacle thrown at you. It's really not for everybody, so start slow. That would be my biggest advice, is start slow, start with one deal and go through the entire life cycle of it and see if you even like it. Because it's certainly requires a lot of your time, your capital, your skill sets. You just need to keep growing every day. So I would say, definitely partner with an active investor first, see what they're doing, see how they do their project. That kind of gives you an idea of the landscape that you then have to deal with.
How many deals are you juggling all at once at any given time?
Oh my God. So I'm also a real estate broker, and I help my friends, fix and flip. I help new investors fix and flip. I help with acquisitions. Like, we are a tech heavy community, so I help a lot of tech folks buy rental properties. So at any given time, I'm juggling, I think, between 15 and 20 deals, because it's not just that these are deals that are placed actively, but to do 15, 20 deals, you're also looking at 100 deals. So every day I'm constantly analyzing and coaching and mentoring, but it's amazing. It's so much fun.
Wearing a lot of hats. I love it.
Love it. Yeah.
Now, what is next for you in your business as an active investor?
Yeah. So I like to keep learning. I like to do one thing really well and then move to the next thing, and something totally different. So what I'm doing now is I'm on the path to learning about different asset classes. I'm researching self-storage, assisted living, apartment investing. And so, each of these asset classes have steep learning curves, but that's kind of what excites me, reading about it, listening to podcasts, all those things, so that's kind of what I'm doing. And that's what's next for my business, I would think, is to go commercial.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, one piece of advice for the PI listeners.
Yeah. So PI listeners, learn to delegate. I identified very early on in my business that I had some weaknesses, some deficiencies that I was just not willing to, I don't know, not necessarily change, but it's just things that I didn't have, qualities that I didn't possess. So what I did was I found amazing people that complemented me to either hire into my team or to just hire out when needed, and delegate out like the things that I didn't like to do. And what this made me do is really enjoy the journey that I was on, and also watch other people, like, just being able to empower them to do amazing things, create more jobs. Like that just made my life so much easier and happier. So learn to delegate. It's okay for everybody to have a little bit of, a little piece of the pie, as long as they're helping you succeed.
I love that. And don't be surprised if we bring you back on the show to talk about how to hire a team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, thank you.
that. How can we stay in touch with you?
I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram, just my first and last name, Leka Devatha. So find me there. I'd love to connect and keep in touch.
All right. My favorite
Yes.
question. What is the meaning behind your company name?
Okay, so my company is called Rehabit Homes, and this is the best part, it is totally made up. My husband and I wanted to come up with something catchy, and so we decided to do a play on rehabbing, because that's what I started with, was fix and flip. And it's funny because over the years people have told me that they've tried to look up the meaning of Rehabit, but there is none because it's made up.
I love that. I want to ask you one more question that's probably related to your business outside of your lending. Are you going to be working with passive investors one day?
I actually do work with passive investors. I raise a lot of money for my different projects. I work with other people's money all the time. And what I do is I give them a handsome interest rate or an equity partnership. So yeah, I already am. That's the one way, apart from hard money lending, which they only finance 90% of your acquisition. There's a lot of times, and like I said, deals in my area cost a lot of money. So it's not like buying a 100K house and fixing it up for 20K. It costs $1 million. So I am constantly raising money. So yes, for sure.
That is awesome. I love that. And I should have asked that earlier, and I'm glad I asked that at the end here. Leka, appreciate you coming on the show. It's been a wonderful, wonderful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, John. This is absolutely fun. And yeah, thank you.
Don't forget to download your free copy of the investment tracker. It allows you to track up to 5 investments, compare sponsors, markets, and most importantly, projected versus actual returns. To get your copy, go to www.projectedreturns.com. PI listeners, thank you for listening. As always, we hope this was the best resource for your investment strategy, but also the best use of your time. Remember, if this episode helps you, you can help us by leaving a review on iTunes. I hope you feel compelled enough to share it with someone you think this would resonate with as well. As much as it pains us to leave you, but you know what time it is. Time to go put this into practice. Till the next time we meet, happy investing. PI listeners, I'm grateful for your time and I appreciate you for listening. It would mean the world to me if you went to iTunes and left a rating and written review. Let me know how you feel about the show. It really makes a big difference with getting the podcast out there. Don't forget about our Facebook group, where all of our guests are members of. I'll be there to answer any of your questions, or even questions you might have for future guests. Subscribe so you can get the latest episodes and our fan favorite quick hitters. Finally, I want to keep you updated, so head over to johnfortes.com and sign up for the newsletter. If you're interested in partnering with me, sign up on the contact page so you can talk to me directly. I look forward to connecting with you. Happy investing.